is going to be an explanation of why they call me the Bear Lady. So this is a good story, I think. It's kind of funny and it's very unique. And the reason why it's funny is I have to give you a little teeny bit of a backstory. Is most of you know, if you've been with me for any length of time, is that I am from the New Jersey Shore. I am a Jersey girl. I am in Pennsylvania because my husband lives, so now I'm like officially transferred into like a country girl according to them, but I'm really not. I am Jersey all the way. I'm city girl. Like I won't pee in the woods. I don't, you know, I'm not into all this like country stuff. I'm still city girl pretty much all the way. So what's funny is that people that I know really well now and that are my friends who were born and raised in Pennsylvania are like, you are from the city and have more encounters with bears after moving to Pennsylvania. And I've lived in Pennsylvania my entire life. I've never seen a bear. Ever. So that's why it's funny, because they can't believe that I'm from the city, total city girl, don't do the nature thing, not woods hunting, I don't do none of that. And I've had more encounters with bears since I moved here, and I'm going to tell you some of those stories, whereas they've never even seen a bear. That's why everybody thinks it's hilarious. And then I got this nickname, the Bear Lady. So the number one reason why I'm called the Bear Lady is because I have the newspaper article right here. This is my scrapbook page of it. We caught the biggest bear in the area that we live, Fayette County, in our front yard. That's the newspaper article. And I'm going to show you guys close-ups. I'll take the camera off and show you close-ups. In our front yard with, as you can see is what it says on this one, my home cooking. Yes, the biggest bear in Fayette County. But before I caught this bear, my husband and I had just got married. My son was little. My daughter wasn't even born yet. We just started out. We bought a mobile home. We were living in a mobile home park. And, now mind you, mobile home park. A park full of mobile homes in a rural area. We're in the living room and we're hearing all this clanging going on. So I flip through the blind and look, and there's a bear on our porch trying to make off with our grill. That was my first bear experience. Freaked me out because, you know, mobile homes are not the sturdiest of homes. They're great, but, you know, like sometimes you think like, man, all that bear would have to do is push and he'd come right through the door. Yeah, he was on my porch trying to make off with our grill because we kept our grill on the porch. That was my first experience with the bear. My second experience was this. And this one is funny. So my husband and I moved, and we moved into this house, and a couple months in, we used to keep our garbage cans lined up in the front, kind of underneath our bay window. And my husband at the time was working at a stone quarry, so he used to leave like 2:30 in the morning. And around 3 o'clock, like 45 minutes after he left, I started to hear all of these strange noises, and it was like transitioning from summer to fall. So I got up because I kept hearing these noises, and what it really sounded like to me was like a screwdriver. Like someone had a screwdriver and was trying to take like the bolts or the nails and things like out of our window to come through the window. And I got completely paralyzed because when I came around the corner, what I thought I was hearing in my head, I actually saw, because our screen, my window was open at the time, my screen was actually popping in and out, in and out, in and out. And I'm going, oh my God, somebody is trying to break into my house and it's just me and my babies. And oh my God, what am I going to do? So I went and got my phone and called my husband, who didn't answer because he was at the quarry. Honey, somebody's trying to break into my house. Da, 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 da. So it's like, I knew at that moment when he didn't answer, like, I'm going to have to deal with this. I'm going to have to overcome this fear and go over to that window and yell at this person who's trying to break into our house to save my babies. So I went to the window, holding my breath. I had a little steak knife in my hand because that's all I had. And I'm going, I gotta look over and tell this guy to stop it. I know he's here. So I took a big breath. And I looked down, and it wasn't a person. And I didn't have to look down because there was a huge face in the window. And it was this 350-pound bear. And he was taking his nail and lifting up on the screen to break it out, because what had happened was it was garbage day, and the garbages that we usually lined up there were up all the way at the top of the road, but the garbage from the house was sitting on that side. So he was trying to get in through the window to get the garbage that was sitting inside the house. Freaked me out. But I scared him. I screamed and I scared him, and he kind of ran into the yard. So we knew we had a bear problem, so we called the game commission, and the game commissioner came out, and I'll show you. He set up this thing. You guys see it? This big ugly green bear trap in our front yard, literally 6.5 feet from our front steps. Yeah, to catch this bear. So what they did is they put a whole bunch of hay inside, and then he would come out, this guy. Let me see if I have a picture of him, because he was the game. Yes, you really can't see his face, but this was the guy that dealt with it. He came out every day. You can see a little better of him here. Here he is. He came out every day to bait that trap. And what he would do to bait that trap is he would buy day-old donuts, and he'd bring it out, and he'd kind of crawl into the trap, and he'd bait the trap with the donuts. He'd put them in the way back so that the bear would have to climb into the trap, step on that thing to get the donuts, and then the door would slam shut. Well, we heard the bear in the middle of the night. So my husband and I crept out to the living room to see if he was going to crawl into this like cage and get the donuts. And we really couldn't see, so we were like, oh, we'll flip on the light, but I'll probably scare him away. We flipped on the light. Do you know what this bear was doing? Oh, he was smart. He was so smart. He sat on his butt, literally like a human. He sat down on his butt, took his paw, reached into this green cage, and started pulling all the hay to the front of this big trap, and would pull it all to the front so the donuts would come, and then he'd literally pick up the donut like a human would use his hand like this and hold it and eat the donut while sitting on his butt. He wasn't getting in that trap. We learned later that he was already caught because he already had a tag in his ear, so I think he already knew what these traps were about. So this went on for 2 weeks. In that time, my husband and I must have got up 50 million times in the nights, because we would catch cats, the neighbor's dogs, opossums. We caught a bobcat once. This trap went off every single night, and when it would shut, it sounded like doomsday. It probably woke the whole neighborhood. So we got to the point where we were like, I just don't think we're going to catch this bear. It's too smart. It knows the donuts are easy to access by sitting and pulling the hay. Then we tied down our garbage cans, because it would make off. This bear would take off with our garbage cans. Well, it learned how to get around that too. Me and my husband filmed it. It would take our garbage can in its mouth by the handle out to the middle of the yard and like knock it over so that it was laying on its side, and then the bear would stand up on two and come down with all of its weight with its two front paws like this, and the lid would just pop right off, and then he'd be in the garbage. I swear to God, this was the smartest bear I've ever seen known to man. Like, this bear was genius. He was becoming quite a nuisance. So about 2 weeks of this went on, and I just looked at my husband one night, and I'm like, that dang bear is never going to get caught if they keep putting donuts with the hay in there. I'm telling you, I'm going to get this bear. My husband laughed at me. Well, we had a big barbecue, so we had leftover barbecue, corn cobs, I had some coleslaw, and some macaroni salad, I think, left over from this barbecue. So I climbed my butt into this green tank, this green trap, with my husband outside. I crawled into it, threw all the hay out the back, and he held the door because I was on the trap, the part that hooked the trap so the door would shut. He held the door open. I threw all the hay out, took all the donuts, brought them into my house, and put all of our leftover dinner at the very top and like smushed it into like all the little holes, but took all the hay out. So in the middle of the night, bam, that door went off. My husband's like, oh God, you probably got the neighbor dog again, whatever. So he went out. He was just getting ready to open up that door, and something inside let out this monstrous growl, and we knew. So by the morning when we went out, sure enough, he was in there. So that's why it says home cooking caught the bear, because it was me, not the game commission guy who deals with bears on a daily basis. No, the city girl from New Jersey caught the biggest bear in Fayette County. Moi. Me. That's right. So, that morning, I got my son and daughter off to school, and we kind of lived in a rural, like it was kind of in the woods, kind of not, but we had a really long driveway. It was almost a mile long. And they didn't ride a school bus, they rode a school van. So we were standing outside, and when the van driver came up to pick my son and daughter up, he was like, "Did you get the bear?" And we were like, "Yeah." So he got out and he looked at it, made his few little comments and stuff, and then he left with my son and daughter. 45 minutes later, he comes back with all of the kids in the route that with my son and daughter to come back to see the bear in the bear trap, and coming right behind him is the Channel 4 News and the local paper reporter. He called the Channel 4 News and the local paper to tell them that I caught this bear with my home cooking, because we told them the story. So that's how we made the newspaper. And then if you see up in this corner here, Channel 4 News, there's the news reporter and the cameraman. They were there. So we made the 4 o'clock news that night, which we videotaped, but I can't show you because it's on a VHS. So, but I made the Channel 4 News. They interviewed me, and they started calling me the Bear Lady. And we made the front newspaper. So this was the article in the very front of the newspaper, all about how the Reynolds caught a 350-pound bear near an elementary school, because my kid's school was right down the road. And that is him. Whoop, wrong side. That is him. And that's the trap that was sitting in my yard. I'll show you this up more close. So that was my second bear story. From there on, everybody in town started calling me the Bear Lady. Well, the very next year, my husband, no, my children, my husband wasn't with me. My kids and my father wanted to go up a mountain because they were really into bike riding. So I had a van at the time, and they asked if I would ride them up to the top of the mountain, and then if I would meet them down at the bottom. They would ride their bikes down, but I would take the van down because it was too hard to pedal up. Like, this was a really big mountain. They just wanted to ride down. They wanted to coast. So I said, sure. So me, myself, and my mom, myself, my mom, and my daughter stayed in the van. We rode up to the top of the mountain, dropped my father and my son and my sister off, and they were going to ride their bikes down. And then me, mom, and my daughter decided, we started down the mountain. I put the van into first gear. We're trucking down, and I mean, we're in the woods. Like, this is heavily wooded bike trail area, and through the thick trees you could kind of see where the bikes were on the other side of the road. And we're driving down, and I went, "Boy, Mom, this is really big." That's all I got out. That's all I got out. And this bear comes charging out of the woods, full force, and like realizes that I'm there. Now, meanwhile, we're like this. I'm trying to slam on the brakes to stop the van, and I'm in first gear, but the van my brakes are just smoking. Like, the tires and my brakes are smoking. I cannot stop because we're on such a steep grade. And this bear is like running beside the van because I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't go straight forward, but he like halted and like ran with the van for a little bit, and then thought he got in front of my van and decided to turn in. Well, he got caught underneath my van, and my front driver's side tire kicked him over to my front passenger side tire. My van did not have air conditioning, so all of our windows were rolled down. The bear gets caught in the passenger side tire. It gets flipped up into the air. Now, mind you, this is the only experience I've had in my whole 36 years where I've actually seen something happen in slow motion, but it really wasn't. This is the only thing. It was like slow motion. This bear got kicked up from the tire and was in the passenger window rolling. Now, that's where my mom is sitting. So my mom is practically in my seat going, ah! Because mind you, she's a Jersey girl too. She is screaming and her window's down. And this bear is like coming into the window. She's like screaming. My car is smoking and my brakes are going, ah! Because I'm trying to still stop. I'm yelling, scared my daughter half to death. She's screaming in the backyard, in the back seat, and this bear is like slow motion turning into the passenger window. If you could see my mother's face, it's a face I will never forget. So this bear kind of just like grazes the window and rolls onto the ground, and I finally got the van to stop about 15-25 yards from where he landed on the ground, and I wanted to get out to see if he's okay because I'm this huge animal lover. And my mom's like, "Don't you dare! That bear was running. Either something's chasing it, another bear's trying to eat it or something. Don't you get out of the car. Just go, just go." She really thought like that bear was going to get up and come after the van, or something bigger was going to come like out of the woods, because it really, like, this bear was trucking. It looked like he was running from something. So I hit a bear with my car. A year after, I caught a bear in my yard. A year after, a bear tried to steal my grill off my porch. Yeah. So, yeah, he did a little bit of damage to my van. He tore some stuff up underneath, but we came out unscathed. My biggest concern was, is I knew I just hit a bear and probably wounded it. I mean, it did get caught underneath both my wheels. I mean, there was no blood on my car, but there was a lot of fur on my van, rather. The only thing I could think of is that I probably wounded this bear, and he's kind of like up the hill a little, and my son, my sister, and my father are coming down on the other side of this bike trail, and if this bear gets up and continues his path, he's going to run right into all the bikers on the other side. So I was like terrified, like this angry, wounded bear is going to go kill somebody on the bike trail because I just hit it and made it mad. So I was like going as fast as I can because we were on such a steep grade. I had to keep it in first gear and like really nurse it down. But I wanted to get down there to tell the game commissioner at the bottom that, you know, I hit a bear and you better go take care of it because it's going to kill somebody on the bike trail. I don't know what happened to the bear after that. I never did find the game commissioner after that or anything like that. So I don't know what happened to that poor little bear, but he wasn't little, though. He wasn't 350 pounds, but he wasn't a cub either. He was like a bear ager, like a teenager bear. He was like in between. He was big enough. He was big enough. So I'm going to stop. I don't want to ramble on and on and on. But that is why the Jersey Shore girl is called the Bear Lady, because I've had 3 big experiences with bears. And people from Pennsylvania are like, I just can't believe it. You hit a bear, you caught a bear, you had a bear steal your grill, and I've never even seen a bear, and I live here in Pennsylvania my entire life. I just don't see how that works. Can't help it. So I am officially known as the Bear Lady in the area that I live in. So I think that that's kind of funny and a little unique, and it's all documented here. Like I said, I'll show you in more depth at the end of the video. But it's very funny that they documented in the newspaper article that it was my home cooking that caught the biggest bear of Fayette County. So I'm kind of proud of that the official game warden of our area couldn't catch the bear, but the Jersey girl did. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's story time, why I'm called the Bear Lady. I hope you giggled and laughed a little bit. I have a lot of crazy stories, guys, a lot. You guys need to give me some ideas of what kind of stories you like to hear. I have paranormal stories. I have a ton of animal stories, like me and my husband were attacked by a bat, raccoon ate and came up through my floor. Like, I have a ton of animal stories if you like those. I have paranormal stories. I have crazy things that have happened to me. Just, I have lots and lots and lots of stories. So anything that piques your interest that you think you'd want to hear a little bit about, leave me some comments down below and tell me a direction that you'd like to hear story time go into, and I will try to work that all in for you lovies. I hope you guys enjoyed story time, and if you're new to story time and you liked stories and you like chit-chatty people, I'm definitely your gal. Subscribe and stick around. You guys have a great day. Bye. So that is Mr. Nuisance Bear, and I believe the game commissioner's name was Jason. And this is the news article. See how it says the Reynolds family? We have been bothered by the Bruin for several weeks. I have to tell you, I learned more about bears in those couple days while he was there than I have in my entire life. And then this just goes over, and here I'm showing you where it says, my quote, "When we finished dinner Tuesday, I threw the leftovers in the trap, and I caught it." That is the news reporter and her cameraman from the Channel 4 News. That is the bear trap that I actually crawled into, and then that is the news reporter, no, that is the cameraman actually filming, I don't know, I think that was a neighbor that was also being bothered by the bear. And that is the newspaper man that came out to interview us and the game commissioner. And that is Mr. Bear leaving the property. That is my driveway. I hope you guys enjoyed my bear story.